that you can bring, especially on Villa. There's some indestructible ones that kind of pigeonhole you into being kind of, you have to bring a Maverick.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to bring a Maverick, just ban the Cade. Sort of free yourself up on the attacking lineup selection. And for the side of One Shot, they're not going to be bringing the Mav. Instead, they're going to be bringing the Ying, an interesting operator that really we haven't seen so far, but can be incredibly impactful and break through the stalemate that we could see all the time.
I'm going to be curious to see if there is an exact stat that I can bring up for how Villa has swung over the past couple of months. Even though a lot of people were wondering if the expectation is that this is started to be more of an attacker's haven, it's still a defensive bastion in a lot of circumstances. The idea of it being 4 mini-maps kind of crammed all into one building in some circumstances definitely still rings true, even though it being released in Operation Parabellum without receiving any additional changes means that teams should have had enough time at this stage in the game to understand the best ways to work with it or around it. TSM on defense looks like an advantage to start with. If they can put themselves up perhaps 4-2, then they could walk away with the rest of the series, but I still do not want to count One Shot out at this point in the game.
No, Villa is a map that I think is one of the most balanced in the entire map pool. It's almost a 50-50 in my eyes, and pretty much if you get a 4-2, a 3-3, or a 2-4, it doesn't even really matter because the opponent team can just as easily do what you just did. When you get into the 5-1 territory or 1-5, that's where things get a little bit more interesting, but again, it's when the shoe's on the other foot, it's probably not as comfortable, blada, blada, blada. And for the side of One Shot, starting on the attack, sure, it can be a little bit more difficult, but if they know what they're doing, if they probably droned out the side of TSM's defenses, they can make a good adjustment, they can make a proper read, and with something just as kind of known as a bathroom extension and a closet extension in this shield that's on the bed that we first saw with Parabellum. And this has been a seen strat before, and if this vertical pressure from down below does surmount on the side of One Shot, they can probably break this down.
Like that Achieved has the escape route into Laundry, but it's a little bit weird to get to it simply because of where Habana's positioned herself on the window, and the drone work is making Swaylin frustrated because Achieved is denying in there. There's a mute jammer preventing him from getting inside, so Achieved can hold up above for as long as he feels like, and he's also got Merc there for coverage, at least for right now. They're not going downstairs to attack Kitchen, which means this kind of stall is nice to see for TSM. One Shot need a little bit more time to dislodge it, but they've got a shield covering that main doorway, preventing the plant. Well, my discs, mute jammers, everything has been put to master, and so far it only looks like it's Kilo and, well, Quartz is now ready to backgrounds, and now they can both help Swaylin with all of this utility clear, but that's a minute and a half gone already.
Yeah, now the Nitro's going to come out, and down goes two! Achieved lines him up and knocks him out. Quartz and Kilo, goodbye indeed. Dropping the diffuser as that lineup, that shield, sure, it goes down, but it definitely served its purpose. 2 frags for nothing. A minute left on the clock for One Shot to work with. They've got to bounce back. They've got to get active. They have to get something going. And the Slippery pops the adrenal surge. That's exactly what they're looking to do. Over towards the blue rotate. Here comes a nade. But unfortunately for Storms, nobody is home.
Trying to work bottom up is Slippery, as is Storms, at least with the nades. If the two of them can maybe start working up Astro Stairs, they'll have to fend off Chala, but if they work together, maybe this plan has more legs than we assume. Swaylin wants the master tank, but Slippery and Sledge will now back come up, and again, Swaylin getting down isn't about to help anything. Can nades clear Chala? No. He's still chucking Toxic Babes. He's still about to find some frags. Slippery does grab Achieved. He might be able to turn this one around, but only slowly. Bolo flips back around from Deer, takes that frag for himself, and TSM, for the 3rd map straight, claim the first round.
Yep. They've been starting off strong, and that Nitro was absolutely massive. Crazy stuff indeed, and that's kind of a hill that can be too hard to really surmount.
Sometimes.
When you all of a sudden you lose 2 players, and you don't
just
have a whole lot of map control, it's
to lose 2 players
absolutely
like that.
demoralizing indeed.
Oh boy. I liked the toss. It's something that they very clearly didn't expect. They had 2 players come around to support Swaylin, and what happens? Both of them die to the same Nitro, and Swaylin's like, well, that wasn't useful for anything, and almost no utility got cleared until he made his approach into Master. At that point, it was quite simply too late. Something to note here, though, we don't have a Tachanka, as One Shot might have originally anticipated. We're dealing with a Clash instead for round 2.
Yeah, depending on where the push for One Shot comes, the Clash might be just sitting inside a study over towards the door, or maybe over towards the classical side, or maybe even all the way down on main stairs, supplementing in and stopping any easy access main stairs push that typically we see a lot of teams go for nowadays. You get control of the main lobby, you get control of the library, you can fluorinate out some of these angles, burn over towards if there's barbed wire and shields and stuff like that on the main stairs. But maybe not for the side of TSM. They're extending horizontally the opposite way. They're going deep all the way over towards Statue, making vertical holes, putting Goyo shields there, as well as putting over towards main. A very widespread defense for TSM, and typically when we see those defenses get really widespread, sometimes they can be weaker on both sides and puncture.
There might be a little bit of a hole One Shot could exploit if they wanted to put their bodies toward main, pushing up the staircase, try to take down the shield and the Jaeger, because there is one shield on, I believe, main stairs itself, and there's another one at the very top of it. So Jaeger has a whole bunch of avenues he can move through. Bolo's got plenty of coverage, plus ADSs. But it's something that One Shot have decided they don't want to worry about. They're going to clear over from east down to west, from master over, and see if they can't maybe catch a roamer napping. But instead, that's going to be what Achieve does. He can't really take down Slippery, but he'll decide to get out of dodge instead. Slippery is just going to heal himself right back up to almost full HP. And Achieve is now known as a menace down in the basement.
Yeah, this is like, hey guys, guess what? This is my forget that even happened button on the paw of Slippery.
No, we're fine.
Yeah, everything's fine. And with so much utility over towards red stairs, getting that shield might be a little bit easier said than done, especially with the Flores ban. There's what? 3 magnets and 2 ADSs, a Goyo shield, and more importantly, Geo behind it aggressively peeking. The breach should come out to give a safe burn angle, but Swaylin, he's on the opposite side, repelling over towards 90, and Bolo's gonna get active. Shoots the Claymore as well. Down goes your hard breacher. It seems like Bolo wants more. He's getting aggressive as the burn is going out towards this area. The Wamai Magnet will pick it up. The Clash is standing strong. So much shields. One can move, one cannot. And they're treated the same in One Shot's eyes because they can't destroy either.
Yeah, even if Wamai gets killed here, there's still the chance for Goyo on Achieve to just swing right back up. Bolo is not letting anyone in the building if his life depends on it, and it does. Finally, Geo is taken down from that side of the map, but you still have a Clash to contend with, and Achieve can make this rotate essentially whenever he pleases. Storm's up above, trying to work around the shield, maybe still utilize that cover for himself if someone tries to flank, but it's essentially almost a 4v2 because it takes so many people to clear a Clash out of position and kill her, and you have only a couple of seconds with which to work. Storms and Slippery, a little bit split up, maybe hoping someone on TSM is going to make a positioning mistake, but no one is about to give them a peek that they don't deserve. TSM understands the advantage they've got, and they're not about to get aggressive until One Shot makes a move, or they've got some actual, true, actionable intel. Storms wants to move right in. He can only for a couple of seconds. His position is known. Maybe Achieved will make the swing. Storms does get clapped, as does Slippery. That's a textbook cleanup from TSM, and they're beginning to pile on a bit.
Yep, and sure, once again, Villa defenses, blah, 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 blah. They haven't gone to the tertiary bomb site yet, but with how dominant TSM's utilitarian, as you were saying, their util setups have been incredibly good. They're getting everything that they want. They're holding on to as much map control as they so desire, and so much map control into their favor that they're comfortable holding the entire map. They're comfortable holding any room they so want. They're comfortable going to the 4th bomb site that we never see, Living Room Library.
No kitchen. I like that they probably could still go back to it if for some reason this one doesn't work out, but I do think it's a little bit unexpected in the grand scheme of Villa. Probably not so much so for TSM, but again, we've not seen them play this map in a long time, so I don't know if One Shot knew to expect the potential for a library take and the creativity that you can have on a site like this. You're playing upstairs in vault, you keep that one main vault wall secured if possible, open some holes from top looking down in, and then position your roamers around it accordingly. That might be the play. That's kind of the default, but again, we don't really see this map played in North America, or this site played in North America very often.
Yeah, it's really interesting stuff as Merc is finally back on the Oryx, and he opens up a rotate just to get the setup done a little bit quicker because he just reinforces it right after. I think it was the Jaeger of Achieve just needing to get over towards over towards Piano just that little bit faster. And that means that the extension is pretty intensive for the side of TSM. Achieve has gone on a world tour, placing ADSs everywhere. Sometimes the Jaeger setup is a little bit annoying, but for this time, seems like he's going to be upstairs in the hot zone if One Shot want to go for that vertical take, which 99% of teams will do when they take this bomb site. Because it's rarely played, means that defaults kind of exist for a reason. There's not really any nuanced attacks unless you just go for a rush through mud or something like that.
TSM are going to hope that their library defense is as good as they've stratted it, because one thing I've noticed about teams who play offsides, the attacking squad can just be like, well, we might as well just push this, just because trying to dissect a defensive setup if we don't know what it is simply could take too much time, so we can just move right in. But One Shot have not opted to get aggressive in several rounds, all the way back since some of their cafe attacks. Instead, they're trying to take this slow and systematically, but it hasn't worked out so far for 2 rounds straight. Storm's still going to creep up inside main hallway. If he wants to push into library, he will have an opportunity to do so, and he's droning himself, so he does have an avenue in. Whether he takes advantage of it is a different story. He'll leave that drone over to the left of vault door, right by the bookcase, and now give himself an entry point. He may be able to just sneak in here like we saw One Shot do a couple times in Chalet.
Yeah, and there is still the flank potential from Merc just laying in wake, but more than anything is Geo. He's going to be the first one to take a gunfight.
Ooh.
As Chala will fall at the hands of Storm. Quartz properly reads that flank. Now everything's falling apart for TSM. One Shot, they have an access way into the bomb site, and they have 2 free picks, one of them being an anchor in the form of Chala. Geo, he's trying his best to slow down this push, but as Storms is just in the bomb site, he's looking to cause any sort of mayhem.
No.
Achieve misses the bullets, but Bolo takes out Slippery as Kilo starts the plant.
They have to work on this now, trying to obtain any other vertical control if they can get it. Geo looking for a kill, not inside mud. He will be denied, and there's still Bolo up top looking for anything, but he knows his rotate needs to come through faster and sooner rather than later. Achieved upstairs. He wants the rotate. He's so far off axis at this moment, and I think One Shot probably had this one scouted pretty well. They just allow someone, in this case Storms, to just slip past the defensive marker. Achieved trying to equalize, but Bolo isn't looking the right way. It's just falling down to the Jaeger, and I do think this one is a little bit out of his hands. He won't be able to get back in enough time. That's a really nice way for One Shot to get on the board.
Yeah, there were too many holes in this defense, which sure, I admire the confidence and the gall to go to a bomb site such as a living room and library, but typically there's a reason that a lot of teams don't like going for it, because it has a significant amount of weaknesses. Like, if you open up all those, there's so many walls right next to the bomb site that you can't really reinforce all of them if
You
you
don't
want
want
to
to
go
leave
for
yourself too much room.
Yeah, and if you want to extend upstairs, there's just flat out not enough reinforcements in for the side of One Shot to properly read into the piano walls being open and start applying pressure that way. Just enough of phantom pressure on the main lobby side that TSM started getting antsy. Merc, he's like, hey guys, they're going back to site. I need to flank now. Quartz reads that properly. And then Kilo manages to get an entryway into site and just starts planting the diffuser on the complete opposite side of the initial entry point that drew so much pressure and so much attention of TSM.
It was a good play overall. I do
Yes.
love how the roam was read properly by Quartz. It gave everyone on TSM a moment to go, wait, okay, now we have resources stretched too thin, only 3 guns up. How do we make a rotation back? And that time wasted was enough for One Shot to go in and get a diffuser down, and TSM then struggled to regain any foothold. They were across the site. You know, Achieved was rotated back into statue looking for a way back to bomb, and he found 1 kill but couldn't find the round because Bolo's flank on the opposite end from main stairs also met with no kills at the end of the day. So, yeah, that's just the danger you have of running what is literally the 4th site on a map. There are cases where a 4th site can be run super effectively, but we just don't see living room library played hardly at all. So I wonder if that will give TSM cause maybe on round 6 if they decide, dining probably might be a better option here.
Hopefully for One Shot's sake that they do not stack up on the window and get nitroed again.
Hopefully.
And with the pick of Swaylin onto the Ying, there's the potential for a rush. A lot of players are starting to go over towards the Boar window.
How quick is this going to be?
I think this might be a rush potentially. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but as soon as solar pressure is kind of brought forward, or not solar, pardon me, blue pressure, and Storms is making his way up the brown staircase
This
with
is double
Slippery.
power here.
This could be interesting. Bolo is stuck in this position. He can no longer go down brown. He can no longer go up as soon as the window player assuming that they don't miss the shot entirely, which is Kilo, probably won't be doing that, as now he's being flashed out. He's completely blind. He's going to get cut down, as now blue control, after these smokes go down, is a little bit more interesting. Swaylin, he tossed the Candela, but it's a missed drone. Everybody's downed on the side of one shot. It's just Kilo in a 1v3. It was looking so good for them. And then it fell apart at a moment's notice.
Holy cow! They had a decent idea. The buddy system on Astro Stairs I thought was going to work beautifully with the window rappel cross, but Chala held that position back in round 1. He was still hiding behind Astro Globe by the desk. They should have known he was there. Moments like that, I do think it's a missed drone because there's not very many other obvious options for what it could be. They were very, very close to bringing that one back, and instead, TSM stopped them dead before half the round had even evaporated. They wanted the quick execute. The Ying kind of telegraphed that, and all Chala had to do was hold fast in the smoke. He disguised himself. That was his camouflage in the back corner of Astro, and it gives TSM another round here right after what was a pretty disastrous defensive library.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the other 2 players did jump in for a window and just tried to get any control over towards Trophy, and it just didn't work out. And that's unfortunate. I mean, good luck in them next time, I guess. But they're not going to get another chance on that bomb site of Trophy Statuary because TSM, they've won it both times. Now we're going to go towards Aviator Games, which, if you recall correctly, for TSM, was an even stronger hold than their Trophy Statuary.
True. They lost considerably less bodies in that round, so they're hoping to see if they can't just run it back straight up. But it's not going to be without a challenge. It seems as though fragger operators for one shot are incredibly plentiful. Swaywan's the only one who's not playing somebody who could theoretically be a little bit more frag oriented, and TSM still very comfortable to kind of flex around on who plays what, with the exception of the smoke. That's been in Chala's hands essentially this entire game. They can move around if they need to, but they're going to stick hard on this flash play, and I don't really know if one shot have brought anything additional to dismantle it. They've only got 4 nades here.
Yeah, and with the Merc on Clash, the Clash of Merc, it's just extremely bolstered defense towards 90 and towards top red. It's just a hard situation for you to try to overcome. Sure, Kilo bringing the Twitch this time could potentially zap some of the magnets, maybe even some of the ADSs, or a Goyo shield if that's what is over towards the top staircase. That could be nice, or you know, Geo could just shoot the Twitch drone and all of a sudden you're back at square one and you don't have any way to deal with this at all. Hopefully for their sake as well, Swaylin rotates over and gets the breach over towards Boar. Last time he was on the 90 window and he got jumped out on. They no longer had any hard breach and everything fell apart so much right after that.
Feels like this is really, really, really eerily similar to the way that this site was played just 2 rounds or 3 rounds ago, with the exception there was one ADS top red back in round 2 that doesn't exist here, but still a lot of utility, shield. There's 2 operators playing on this side, and Clash is going to hold firm with Geo in the same spot that we saw only a couple of rounds prior. Storms and Swaywin and Slippery looking for the crossfire. All of the Wamaitis look like they will get burned, as will the shield, so Geo can now fall way back off. Minute and a half spent trying to clear the utility and assume map control, which looks like a pretty good spot for one shot, or for TSM to be in rather. But now, how do you move forward? You know you've probably got classical, you can drone ahead of courts. This should at the very least net some more positional advantage, but you probably need to start dropping bodies here sooner rather than later.
Especially because there's no nitro cell in the back pocket of Achieved anymore. All you have is Chala with his 3 Toxic Babe canisters, and if at one shot start putting pressure over towards multiple areas like they're doing right now, those Toxic Babes, they're going to go fast. One already expended over towards 90, leaving 2 to stop for the plant, and 50 seconds still left on the clock. There is no Nomad on the side of One Shot's attack, which means that Achieved could go massive over towards the flank. It seems like he's on drone and Slippery's going to be going for him. But Geo inside a vault, down goes Quartz. The massive play indeed to stop the stalemate and swing it into TSM's favor.
Looks like Kilo is still the one tasked with Diffuser. Achieved is going to have us the latest flank ever, but TSM can also expend the bodies on one of those flanks if need be. Trying to kill the Clash, so close, but Merc is still alive. Maybe one more nade can put him in the grave if it's positioned well, but another My Magnet gets tossed out, and he will still retain this position. Smokes come through. Twitch is in, tries to plant. It's a flawless round for TSM. The rush doesn't do anything, and they really are starting to pile onto One Shot now.
Yep. I liked the adjustments, however, for One Shot.
Sure.
It was a lot better to actually get past the red staircase. and somewhat touch the bomb site. That's good. The pressure over towards 90 as well. It was nice. And this round completely changes if that nade is cooked 1/4 of a second longer and could have taken out both Merc as well as Geo because they were stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
If that round's completely different, arguably you can say that one shot wins it.
Yeah, if Clash is dead, 100%.
100%.
All you need is, like, I think it would have done probably what? How much damage did it do?
It did like 95.
Yeah,
it left him on like maybe 10 HP.
To the other player. Not necessarily, not to Merc, because Merc was almost dead, but the player who it also did damage
It was like 50.
Yeah, so if it goes maybe to like 25 in the midst of like gas canisters just kind of getting thrown into the mix, like more residual shrapnel from frag grenades at the same moment, there could have been a number of things there that very nearly come to fruition, but none of them end up finding their mark. TSM now 3 rounds away from confirming a grand final appearance tomorrow. They lock in format choice, overall map advantage, not with one map already on the board, but getting to pick in a disadvantaged spot to their opponent, and only needing to play one series tomorrow. Whereas one shot, they will get to sleep in, and one shot have to play what could be 8 maps, which, to be fair, we saw M&M win in a similar position in the EU qualifier, but I don't really know if I'd put them on the same level as One Shot. I think they're miles above.
Yeah, I mean, One Shot does have an opportunity to make this a average half, one that you can't really scoff at, one you cannot get
4-2
really
still works.
Yeah, exactly. You cannot complain about a 4-2 defensive split. You're like, okay, yeah, that's kind of what we expect. You know, not going to get too down on myself. Not going to get really excited about it though. It's just like 7 across the board. You're like kind of like a semi smile. It's like, it could have been worse, could have been better. But that does hinge upon them taking this tertiary bomb site for the first time. It seems like they want to rush once again, and Merc knows that it's coming, but they don't know he's there.
Wow, 2 kills. Both Quartz and Storms managing to find one apiece, and Storms is just saying, yeah, we want to end this one fast, but Bolo just might have a response. Quartz wants to get the diffuser down as fast as humanly possible. He's got coverage from Swaylin and Storms at the same moment, and both Geo and Bolo need to find some kind of recourse. Almost 2 kills for Geo. It takes Swaylin out. He's got to duck back in the library for some kind of acceptable coverage. This can still work. Bolo does take down Quartz. It's only on Swaylin. Wasn't able to get the angle opened, and the rush strategy is met with absolutely nothing. Bolo, yet again, in ties with Geo, makes it 5-1 for the 2nd consecutive map.
Yeah, a rush on the final attack, it's ballsy. But it's also...
I can't say I dislike it.
I can't say I dislike it, but Merc being inside of Memo is something that they did not account for, because as soon as he sees 3 heartbeats coming up through the painting, this isn't Super Mario 64. You don't have that happen. He goes, guys, come back to site. I thought for a second he was going to trigger discipline them because he could have lined up 3 players, but that's a pure moment of panic.
Whoa.
However, for TSM, the rest of them were cool, calm, and collected. They went through, they had a beautiful retake, they understood which positions are coming which way. Sure, Bolo even gets droned out, they know he's in Memo, but doesn't matter, because he's hitting shots.
God, here's the thing I don't want to see right now. I don't want to see One Shot completely crumble. I think they knew the risks for like a take like that in the same way that they knew the risk for trying to Ying and trying to clear out Astro when it was a trophy defense. I think when you go for quick plays like that, there's an understanding that, hey, maybe this won't work out. The round is over so quickly that hopefully it isn't that big of a mental detriment. I don't want them to, or this to turn into a case where they played Aerial Arise in the qualifier and didn't do anything utilitarian. They didn't try to clear much. They were just playing with one player, like what was it, a Vigil in study, no hatch open, just trying to like swing back the study balcony. If they want to play aggressive, it has to be done systematically and not necessarily recklessly. Just because you're down by 4 rounds doesn't mean that this is the end of things for you. You can bring this back, but it will require a lot of discipline.
Yeah, it definitely will. And for the side of TSM, they're cruising once again. Achieved, Geo, and Bolo all playing incredibly well. Merc being in very, very few engagements at all.
So far.
Yeah, he is.
He didn't have that many kills in the last map.
Yeah, he's been kind of slowed off, but he hasn't really seen anybody. But that is going to change as he has picked up the F2 once again. He's on Twitch. He's going to be swinging with that fast-firing rifle, trying to get in there, trying to take the map control behind a couple of drones, and even have a pretty cool one of his own that can take out things like the Goyo shields that we see Slippery bringing.
Yeah, swear it's almost like if you needed a Thatcher equivalent and you wanted one with a faster fire rate and, you know, drones that are capable of doing more across the map, and then the infinite recharge time on those things too, that is definitely a viable replacement even if a Thatcher's not banned. And Merc is a gunplay lord and he likes guns like this, and I think he's probably better suited to ones with faster fire rates or weapons and operators that just mean you can gun a little bit more. That is his strong suit. But for right now, he holds the window across. He's got Storms right next to him. He's looking to take out more utility. The Goyo shield will mean there's not cover if he wants to rotate back to classical, but Merc will hold this spot, and that will still be something TSM needs to focus on first. The individual roamers can be a problem, but it's not even that it's a roam that far away from the site anyway.
Yeah, it's just like a slight extension of the bomb site, but not nearly
He's
as much
lurking.
util.
He's not roaming.
Yeah, he's just kind of chilling. Instead, all of the util that was expended over towards the top red staircase for TSM's defense, it's all inside the bomb site.
Ooh.
And who needs util when Quartz can just pop up and pop your dome? Down goes Bolo, down goes the Finka, down goes those adrenal surges, and a couple of nades as well.
Ugh.
Another flank coming out as Quartz. He's going to down Achieve. He's going huge in this position, and that might be all the nades that TSM have brought to the table. Sure, Merc still has 90 control and can make sure that there's no aggressive plays that way, and Achieve can probably be revived eventually.
Oh.
But Quartz swings down, gets aggressive, and manages to wall bang him out, shutting down two of the top frags for the side of TSM.
Yeah, 90 control is beginning to be more of a problem than they'd estimated before. Even though Merc had control, you're still worried about SMG-11 playing in that position. I think he could have been killed there, but only barely. They probably smoked him out, and Quartz is still alive. Twitch drones no longer in Merc's back pocket. This is going to make things infinitely more difficult. Kilo pops Merc's dome, and that should be it for this round overall. Shades of last map where we saw One Shot claw things back when they switched over to defense in map number 2, and it did start off with a couple rounds looking as dire as this one. One Shot answer back with their own flawless from only a couple from TSM a couple rounds back. Oh boy. Here's hoping it doesn't end up like last map.
I kind of want it to.
Well, for TSM's sake.
For TSM's sake, I want to. Personally, I think that's going to be a great map if One Shot can get a little bit of momentum going forward, because neither of these teams have been that good on attack overall. Yeah. That can be the biggest kind of criticism towards both of them. This has been an overall very defender-sided matchup with maps that we have seen swing this attacker-sided way. Chalet is pretty much always attacker-sided.
Yep.
Cafe can sometimes get attacker-sided, and especially Villa, more so than Cafe, can get attacker-sided. But all these teams, they're struggling to break down the util setups. And maybe if you're sitting at home and you're scouting out these teams, you're like, okay, maybe we can do this. It's not as instilling as much fear as we potentially thought.
Maybe. It has been a rather attacker-deficient day, so to speak.
Yes, it has.
Which is interesting, yeah, like you mentioned, given the map selection. I don't think it's something that TSM can't necessarily, like, break through. I mean, they did have to win Cafe when they were on their attacking half, but that isn't really large marbles, so to speak. There's not really much at stake there. I think you can't allow One Shot to get back into this game, first off. I think the fact that they had Cafe locked down after allowing a couple rounds to slip, they were up, and they were on match point at that point, so they kind of had a couple opportunities to get it right, so to speak. Now, they have 2 rounds to win, similar position to what they had from last game, but still, you don't want to allow the game to run away from you, and you have less of a buffer zone here. I think they know that. I think Pojaman's well aware of it. They've not opted to worry about a timeout at this stage in the game. I don't think they necessarily need to, but TSM need to show their Villa prowess that I'm assuming they've just been hiding from everybody because they haven't played this map in a while.
I mean, hey, that's as good a time as any to bring it out.
Sure.
Trying to punch your ticket to a pretty nice country, Sweden.
I've heard it's nice.
I've heard it's nice.
I've never been myself, though.
I haven't either.
I would love to go at some point.
Maybe, just maybe.
I have a friend who lives in, where does he live? Gothenburg, which I believe is where DreamHack is held, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe.
That's
I don't know. You're speaking way above my head, but
sorry.
As things stand, TSM, they're still in the lead, but One Shot are trying to make that not the case. A slight horizontal extension on the downstairs Storms, gathering a lot of intel, and seems to find Bolo droning. He could rotate through and try to get this Nitro Cell. Would be a massive first pick once again, but it seems like he got off drone. He's just playing around, trying to figure out, where can I Nitro somebody droning? I want a free kill.
Well, Mark is going to move away. Bolo's already moved off too. Storms down below could make a red rotate up a little bit. That's, I don't know, that exact platform right there is concrete. You don't want to throw a Nitro up into that, but maybe a little bit through the paneling. Kilo's got a flank around, kills Bolo, and Merc all by himself now needs to find a way into Statue that maybe isn't as dangerous. There's an answer. At the very least, Kilo will go down cross map from Chala. Achieved and Geo maybe working back through Wardrobe, obtaining a little bit more top floor control before pushing down into Kitchen. They've got the time to do this. It's just dependent on Storms right now, who still can play Spoiler with a Nitro Cell, and he's also in tandem with Quartz. Quartz might try to chuck his up if Storms gives him the right ping. So right now for TSM, the floor is lava.
Yeah, there is one pre-placed, and they're still waiting to blow that one up. And it could happen. Yeah, you can hear it. It's just right next to
the corner.
Yep, it's right in the corner. And he's going to blow. No, he's not going to blow it up yet. It's right outside, right where Achieved walked over. And it might catch Geo. But instead, it's going to be the vertical pressure anyways to drop off Quartz. Geo picks up that kill and the man advantage while he's at it. Achieved still alive. Having that hammer is absolutely massive towards setting up this execute. And when you lose players like Merc, it means that Achieved's going to have to step up even more so.
He's going to hold down Art with his life. It seems like Abana and Nomad might want to make a push on the staircase. Chala will do that, start paving the way. He'll take the Legion Mine in his foot for good measure, but he can still make the push up. But Storms now knows there's now two players about to come up through the pantry staircase. Swalen's going to make a quick rotate around. This might be a really easy flank to find two quick kills unless TSM have this scouted. An air jab could be on the door. Instead, he will get the kill from the hatch, which was opened up. Achieve now has to make the rotate because Geo has no coverage. Can he at least get the diffuser down? No! Very last second, it gets stalled, and Storms grabs Achieved. Looks like One Shot understood exactly when to make that rotate, and they get their third round.
I thought the plan didn't go down, but it did. But it was an easy one to kind of cut down.
Man.
It was barely got off, but hey, same song, different tune, same result that we would expect. A one-shot round through and through, and they're slowly clawing their way back. This matchup has just been so incredibly defender-sided, and One Shot are looking pretty well kind of rooted in their defensive setups. They know what's going on. They brought a lot of nitros here because TSM wanted to go for that top down. Sure, they didn't really land any kills, but it really wasted so much time because, like you said, the floor is lava. It was terrifying for TSM knowing that, hey, there's a pulse, hey, there's like 3 nitros, and hey, they're running around all inside a kitchen. Nobody's really pressuring us upstairs. They want to get nitro kills. Achieved, he knew how valuable he was to that attack. And he was just kind of really hesitant to push forward. And as soon as things started getting really hectic, TSM had to throw anything at the wall and hope it stuck. And as soon as they went up pantry, there was the flank, the beautiful ping off of the cardiac sensor of, hey, there's 2 people coming up. And as soon as that happens, Swalen, he's like, okay, I'm going to run through the basement.
Sure, yeah.
And he'll pick up a kill onto the flank watch. He'll flank the flank watch entirely.
TSM just need to not let this one slip through their fingers. That's all I request. And I think it was interesting how the only round that One Shot managed to win before they swapped over to defense was TSM on a library defense that tried to do too many things at the same time, but they were locked in on D. I don't expect that One Shot's defenses are going to present like the same holes, so to speak. Even if they're playing into defaults, they should have a really good understanding of how to play around them. TSM just need to outwit One Shot a little bit, or hope that they make a mistake, but it's not necessarily reliable to think that something like that is going to present itself. Where was that nitro thrown from?
That nitro was thrown from
not like classical window or something?
No, it's thrown from below. You throw it like right over, you can sprint up, throw it, and
good one. Well,
down goes the sled.
Yeah,
down goes Nate.
That's the thing that needed to not die. Bolo at the very least still has 2, but you're not playing so much vertically anymore, especially, well, you didn't necessarily need the vertical play, but the nades is going to matter a lot. Bolo will probably have to play more of this from down below than he likes to clear util or bodies, and hopefully he's able to pull it off, because for TSM's sake, that's just the wrong op to lose in the wrong second. They do have time to readjust, though, because there's still plenty of that remaining in the round, despite losing Achieved that early.
Yeah, as we see, all of the push is from the south side. It's a good old study over clear. And who rotates over towards Master? That's what we have to figure out. Most likely it will be Geo and now Bolo, because they have to nade over the wall to remove any anti-breaching measures, which actually, as I scan to the right side of the screen, is 0 on the side of One Shot. They want to give the breach for free, but they don't want to give that shield for free, even though Merc had a cheeky angle up top with the Twitch drone. Kilo reads it out, and if anybody is going to peek that, it is actually a defender-sided angle.
three
And you
players.
should not
towards
shove your face in it.
yeah, I wouldn't want to either. I think there's a chance for TSM to move back into statue probably pretty quickly. They've cleared the shield. No other player can do anything to deny them from that spot unless they make a swing, but you're going to have guns trained on every doorway. TSM, at the very least, can have that locked in. Bolo can hold on to B, at least for right now, a little bit more drone work before they make this push. I think they want to do this and not have to worry about too much time left either, but they still haven't found a body. There's Thunderbird has healed both Kilo and Quartz at this stage in the game. Here comes the Adrenal Surge. Bolo still has 2 left for potential executes if he needs it, but Storm's inside Bathroom is going to make sure that the wall stays shut. How many more times can you hold on to this? He's just wasting those Skyros pellets because Bathroom control hasn't been established, and the push comes in, and it's hella disjointed. Kilo can just gun 2 of them down. It's just Geometrics left up. He's got 3 kills that he needs to acquire. Kilo wreaks havoc across the map. A 4K for that man. And all of a sudden, it's 5-4.
Yep, one single round away from the lead disappearing.
Oh, boy.
And as soon as we saw the lead disappear for TSM on Chalet, that was a comeback victory for One Shot.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to smell a little bit of the same dish that we had cooked up.
Slight amount of concern. Haven't seen that many redeeming things on TSM's attack so far, have we? I think it's been timing issues or positioning.
I think One Shot have still been playing it very well.
I think so too.
I'm going to give credit where credit's due. That's what we do here. But for TSM, like you were just saying, those timing issues, that was something I was going to bring up, as well as with a Chief falling early, that was probably the player that was going to rotate towards Master with the Habana of Geo. And then they didn't have enough of a factor over towards that side. They didn't have somebody physically able to jump in with the hard breacher to make sure that somebody like Storms can't just sit inside a bathroom and shoot the pellets. If you have a second player, you don't even need to jump in.
Yeah.
You just have to break the bathroom window when he can't sit in that position.
Slight oversights. Again, things that were going wrong on TSM's attacks from Cafe, seeming like they're bad habits carrying over into this one. Even if they're super minimal, it still might be those kinds of things costing TSM the positioning game and ultimately costing them what is now 3 rounds unanswered. TSM, 2 rounds. All you need, and you're going to the grand finals tomorrow. One Shot, 3 rounds, and they can do the same thing, and that gap between the 2 of them isn't looking so drastic or deep anymore. As this one gets underway, I certainly hope that TSM's minds aren't in the gutter. Opted not to use their timeout still in this case, but is it really a smart play to save it for when the game is tied or when overtime might be on the line?
Maybe. I mean, hey, they pay them the big bucks, so you got to respect it. Got to respect the pedigree of their coaching and support staff. And for TSM, like you said, there weren't really a whole lot of positive factors, but those can be changed in a moment's notice because they've seen all of these bomb sites be brought by One Shot, and they can make their adjustments. They know that, hey, they gave us a lot of study pressure, or pardon me, of Master side immediately. They were just barricading doorways. We can speed up our take. We don't really have to get pigeonholed into kind of attacking a little bit rushed towards the 90 side. We can take a little bit more time because we will have more time towards pushing that way. And you can just sprint through Trophy, and you can sprint through all these other areas.
Storm is going to hold on to power position, escape route right behind him on the hatch so we can go into bathroom if it's so required, but there might be potential for a pinch here if Merc can control the window itself, but Storms is going to go down there and at the very least try to make sure the classical window is held off, but Merc will stave it off and get healed a little bit back up from Finka, and again, all Mute has to do is drop this hatch, and he will do so right now. Instead, so now no more classical control. There's still a shield right there, but all the util has been removed, and Merc could theoretically take classical and the rest of 90 if he had the crossfire, which TSM are currently setting up. So once they have this, Merc can probably go right in, take control, so can the rest of the players from that side. And Nitro cells right now on One Shot side of things have not been used effectively. Storms and Quartz no longer have one left. It's just on Slippery for additional explosives, but now it's also Swaylin. Ooh, I almost thought that was a one-tap. He came so close, but it was just over his head. So still, TSM is going to retain all of their defenders, and they're going to need all the HP necessary to try and get this attack to work. Achieved from down below is going to find 1. Chala can get it 2. Finally, man count goes their way, and they've been looking for this all defense or all attack.
Yeah, and with the man advantage, it's looking pretty solid. The first Toxic Babe thrown towards 90 at 40 seconds. That means there's only 2 left. And sure, they're going to drone out, pop that Goyo shield as Kilo makes sure that they're trying to buy as much time as possible. They know exactly where most people are. Smoke behind the bar, Kilo inside of Study, and Merc's going to try to deal with him. And it doesn't seem like Kilo has any idea. Storms falls at the hands of Achieve, and down below, there goes the refrag and the hatch drop. Study control into the favor of TSM. They know that they can go for this plant. They know that Swalen's going to be preoccupied other ways as Bolo's going to cut him down, and Merc was watching the flank. Down goes Kilo. Match point TSM.
I was really worried for a second there because Gio was attempting to plant and got downed. I didn't know if it was from the Babe or not, but for the slimmest of moments, I figure one shot probably had this one in the bag. But just as that happened, the kills came through. TSM secure themselves 1 point away from this series being over. Overtime at a minimum. They would really love to end this right here and essentially escape what's been a very, very sturdy one-shot team.
Yeah, when we saw One Shot take out Mirage, I was like, okay, yeah, they came to play.
Yeah.
And it was going the distance, and they put up quite the fight against TSM in a significantly better fight than even Parabellum did, and that hurts my soul to say. That one hurt just a little bit, but for TSM, they're trying to deliver an even more painful blow to One Shot. They're trying to knock them to the lower bracket, and they just need one more round to do so.
One Shot still without an orb. I certainly hope one of these days they're able to find that, because is this the most high-profile opponent they've faced in official competition before?
Yes.
Because they haven't faced like a Dark Zero or a Space Station or an OXG in anything official. They're going.
I would say TSM is bigger than.
Well, no, I agree.
Yeah.
I more mean like in the scope of Rainbow Six teams overall and their skill level.
Yes.
TSM is having to scrap over 3 maps with this close of a gap against a Challenger League team that didn't even win any of the stages they played in, whether they were Lenny, GG, or One Shot. Like, these guys have been grinding for a while. There's very clearly something to their playstyle. I certainly hope that someone here is watching can give these guys, I don't know, maybe a contract offer, maybe some representation.
Yeah.
Because
I hope that we see the contract gift gracing our timeline eventually.
Please, 100%.
I would be very happy. I would feel like a proud father. But for TSM, now 1 round away. They're going to be going for the tertiary bomb site of One Shot. It's inside of Kitchen. And there was a lot of nitros, but significantly less this time.
TSM won that last round off of getting a 5v3 real quick. I think they realized maybe util clear won't work. Oh, Bolo's going to allow the Melusi to get away. Still stuck behind Pillar. Can Soywin get out of here? It's going to be really close. Oh, Bolo ducks right as Soywin hits it, but yeah, he will get away with his life. Super, super close. I think TSM understanding if they pinch, get kills, don't worry about clearing utility as quickly. If they go into an execute knowing that there's only 3 players left to deal with, that is a way better position than trying to get everything cleared and then worry about all 5 bodies toward the end of a round.
Yep, and sure, only a minute has passed, and TSM are making somewhat good time. They understand that, yes, there's a good amount of roam presence here. They're going to watch some staircases and make sure as they stack up towards the top of red stairs, over towards Skull, over towards Boar, over towards all those wonderful areas, they do not get nitro, because that would not be ideal. Everybody for the side of One Shot, they've started to peel back, understanding that their killing time is solid, but they need to stay alive towards that execute phase, because that's where they're even more valuable. Bolo, he's trying to take out Swaylin, and it looks like he's looking the wrong way, and Bolo's going to hit another shot right onto the skull of Kilo. NS rains through the chat, as Slippery's also going to nail a shot onto Chala. That's making sure that the bleeding that has come out on the side of One Shot's defense, it isn't fully done.
Almost the potential for 2 nitro so goes to the same spot. Bolo is not going to let this one slip through their grasp. He's taking matters into his own hands. It's just Storms and Slippery. Hold off on GG's for right now, though, because he's still trying to make an impact, but it all falls to Oryx. Gio has the ability to plant with coverage time, but still, that's 3 kills for Slippery, and Bolo's off the board. Don't throw this one away, gentlemen. You have it right there. It's so tantalizingly close. Give Gio coverage. Achieved can do that from Laundry. He's just going to hold fast. Slippery's going to make the rotate back around to Memo. A little bit of a disadvantage, but here comes the flank. Gio already knows, and he's going to look that way. Slippery has to push right in. If he pushes too far, he's going to see the gun barrel. Does take down Gio, but the cross exists! TSM taking the game by storm. They put themselves in the grand final tomorrow, and oh man, that was too close for comfort.
Really well done. As soon as the sites were repeated for One Shot's defense, TSM were like, hey, we've seen that before. Time to adjust, and time to adjust indeed they did. Bolo pop